long. I'll try to make it short. So this is what normally you should know. So have a look on it, then we continue. We'll see the IPv4 address structure. When you have a IP address, you have the network portion and the host portion. I'm going to explain that. And also the subnet mask. You can never get an IP address without a subnet mask. We'll see the difference between unicast, broadcast, multicast. We'll see the type of IPv4 addresses. We have public IP addresses that we can use to go to the internet. We have private IP addresses. We cannot use them to go to the internet. It's for labs or for practical stuff. And we have some reserved IPv4. Then subnetting. This one is very, very, very important. We'll spend more time on it, especially Saturday. Please, Saturday, don't miss class. We'll do practical IPv4 subnetting. Very, very important. You miss a Saturday, you'll miss a lot. So please, 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 Saturday, don't miss. So let me quickly, she's subnetting. We'll do that on Saturday. So quickly, so anytime you have an IP address like this one, 192.168.10.10, you always have something called the network portion and the host portion. And it's like families. You have a name and surname. All names starting with, let's say, Kumalo, Kumalo Jane, Kumalo Michelle, Kumalo, and see, always Kumalo, you see, they belong to the same family, the same network. So the surname, the name, we all belong to. So anytime you have an IP address, we'll check that. That's why the subnet mask is there to help us to identify in which network that IP address belongs to. So the subnet mask to identify the network and host portion of. So when you have a subnet mask, it will show you in which network it belongs to. Then the other side will be the host portion. So for now, take it as it is, and Saturday we'll do a lot of examples. So you were talking about this slash stuff. If you say /8, for example, 192.168.10.10/8, someone didn't mute yourself. Please mute yourself if you're not asking any questions. Who is that? Yeah, please mute yourself if you're not. Dijak? No, not Dijak. Six others. So everyone is muted now. Yeah, so please mute yourself. Okay, now let's continue. There's slash stuff. If you see an IP address with a slash, that 8 means I have 8 ones. The 4 blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first block, we always have 8 digits. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if all these 8 are ones, we say, and we have 8 ones, so /8. If you have 8 ones plus 8 ones, it's 8 plus 8 is 16. So we say /16. If we convert this one in decimal, there will be 255, 255. /8, the first block is all ones. If you convert in decimal, it's 255.0.0. We did the conversions already. So from time to time, when you see an IP address, it will be written /24. It means I have 24 ones. So 8 plus 8 plus 8. And when you convert them in decimal, this is what you get. So sometimes /24 or 255.255.255.0 for the subnet mask. Okay, this one we'll check later. I want to make it simple for you. You have a nice video, you can check it also. We'll do a lot of labs on Saturday for this. I'll make it very simple for you. Okay, for now I skip. So unicast is one-to-one. If I'm here, I'm talking to Barbara only, one student in the class. One-to-one is called unicast. If I'm talking to everyone, like now, I say I'm broadcasting my message to everyone. Multicast, as we saw in chapter 1, I think. If I'm talking to ladies only, I say I'm multicasting, or I talk to male only. So it's a group in a group. So, so this one, for example, this PC want to print something. So you want to talk to one to one. Let me allow someone to log on. Where is that thing? Who want to log on? Who want to join? I cannot see you. Okay, it's here. We continue. So the unicast is one-to-one. The broadcast is one-to-many. Like I'm here and I'm talking to everyone, or I want to communicate, I want to send a message to everyone. We say I'm broadcasting. Then multicast is a group only. So one to a group, I'm talking to only these two in this population. Okay, all this stuff is not. Now, something very important is about public and private IP addresses. So Saturday, I'll do also a revision on IPv4, a quick revision, and a lot of test examples. So when you have IP addresses, we have two groups. We have the public ones that we can use to go to the internet, and you have a private one that we cannot use to go to the internet. So we're going to check that. So we see also that for IP addresses, we have three main classes: class A, class B, and class C. So we'll see that for class A, let me take this one. Let me do like that to make it simple for you. Snipping tool, I grab it. Now, where is that guy? I take this one. I go where I come here. Yeah. Oh, it's not pasting, but this one is my. These things I forgot again to fix. So anyway, when it comes to IP addresses, we have the classification. We have class A, class B, and class C. We're going to check the definition of class A, class B, class C. Then we'll also check how to assign IP addresses to asset, or to PCs, to laptops, to printers. We can assign manually. Ourselves, we enter the IP address, like what we did last time. I have a PC here, I open it, I go to IP configuration, I enter manually the IP. So see static, I must leave manually. If I want this PC to get a IP automatically, I use DHCP. DHCP is a service from a server called DHCP server to automatically assign IP addresses to devices. So we check that also later. We also check that a bit later. And what else again? Okay, this one is something we try to do a bit on Saturday. 1 second, I'm checking what's in group. Okay, so we have a lot to cover. And when it comes to private and public, I did explain to you, public IP cannot go to the internet. Public, we say it can go to the internet, and we say it's routable. It means the router can use it to forward packets and to a destination. The private, it cannot go to the internet, and we say it's non-routable. The router cannot use it to go to the internet. Then we did see that the subnet mask, it will identify in which network an IP address belongs to. For example, if you see 192.168.20.56/24, the /24 is the subnet mask. So we did see that if you say /24, it means we have 24 ones. And if you convert these 24 ones in decimal, it's this one. So question paper, you'll see this. But if you need to configure in a packet tracer, you need to change the /24 to the decimal. So we'll be covering all these things step by step. Also, when it comes to IPv4, to IP addresses, we have also two types. But before we go that, any device in the network need two addresses. I made a mistake somewhere here. Need two addresses. We have a physical address, or the MAC address can never be changed. It's used at the layer 2 with switch. And any device must also get a logical address or a IP address. We can change it, like your cell phone number, you can change. Then when it comes to a logical address, we have two types. We have IPv4 and IPv6. So today we'll try to do a bit of IPv4. We'll continue on Saturday, plus some examples. And on Wednesday, we'll do IPv6. So this is an example of IPv4, 192.168.20.52. And this is an example of IPv6. Okay. We continue. So we did see that we have public IP and private. So this is an example of public and private. For now, I'll take it as it is. I will explain more a bit later. For class A, if you see a IP starting, okay, before that, let me do the difference between class A, class B, and class C. Let me log off here and log on again so that I can explain properly to you. Sign out, sign out. Yeah, you see, it's this one, that's why he was confused. Now sign in. I'm going to sign in. So that I could make some changes. Let's see. Okay, let me check if I can. Still cannot. Wait, please. CNA. Okay, now I go down. Any questions so far? If you have questions. Yeah. Editing. If you make what kind of thing is that? Files. One second. I want to. Why some is editing? Okay. So yeah. So let me explain a bit what is class A, B, and C, so that we'll see the private IP addresses. So let me show you from the PowerPoint. I'll show you shortly. Let's wait. I want to show you class A, B, and C. Yeah. So a class A, any IP starting the first block now, you see, if it start between 0 and 127, we say that IP belongs to class A. If you see a IP address starting from 128 till 191, we say that IP address belongs to class B, and so forth. You see. So for class C, if you start with between 192 until 223, we say this one belongs to class C. So I'm going to ask you some few questions. Some few questions. Let's see, sign in. So if someone asks you job interview, what is the difference between class A, B, and C? What are you going to say? And you look for a job, put on your CV, I did study CCNA. Then we ask you what's the difference between class A, B, and C. What are you going to say?
Hi, Mr. Mark.
Yes, we tell us your name and your answer. Hello.
My name is Mbusa. According to what you just explained now, the class A start with 0. So, to my understanding, if every numbers which I'm gonna see start with 0.0 and carry on, I know that will be a class A. And the class B starting with 128. So I don't know if it's a must, it must start with 128 or 127, but according to explanation, it starts with 128 and the other numbers follow. And the class C start with 192. And then other numbers is gonna come after. So to my understanding, every class A is gonna start with 0, class B is gonna start with 128, and the class C is gonna start with 192.
Okay, great, excellent. Yeah, it's excellent. So I'm going to give you a reactivate. These guys, what's wrong with them? I have my license and we keep on, because even now I can no longer open something. Okay. So this IP address, is it class A, class B, or class C?
That would be class C, sir.
Who is that? Tell us your name.
Wolingwe.
Willingwe. Yeah, Willingwe. So you say class C, why?
Because it falls between the numbers 192 and 223.
Very good. Very good. So remember again, the range. My IP there in my question start with 200. You can see that 200 falls between 192 and 223. So it belongs to class C. It falls in this range. So now if I say this IP 100.1.1.1, so which class is that?
Class A, sir.
Why? And so it's the same thing. This IP address, you see, start with 100. Then you check your stuff. You can see that 100, it falls between 0 and 127. So 100 is between that. So it's a class A. Now, there is something I want to tell you. If you deal with class A, we focus more on the first block. The first block will be mostly to identify the network. It will never change. That's why we see /8, the first 28 bits. So the first block for the network, anything else we can assign to the host. If you take class B, the first two blocks will be for the network. That's why you see /16. The first 8 plus the first 8, 16, will represent the network. Anything else will represent what? The host. So if you take a family name, surname Kumalo, it means the first block, the second block is Kumalo, and anything else is the name. Michel, Jacques, and what Kumalo Jacques, Kumalo Didier, Kumalo what you see. So the first two blocks will identify the network. If you use class C, the first three blocks will identify the network in which this IP belongs to, and only the last one will be assigned to the host. So the default subnet mask for class A is /8 or 255.0.0.0. The default subnet mask for class B will be /16 or 255.255.0.0. The default subnet mask for class C will be /24 or 255.255.255.0. We'll do what I'm telling you many times. So for now, just keep them. I'll explain a bit more. Now we have some companies in this world that assign IP addresses. If you're in Africa, it's Afrinic. For example, we create our company, our internet service provider company, and we want some IP addresses. We go to them, we buy them. And then we have our clients, then we can assign some of our IP to our clients. We sell them, in fact. So if you need an IP address, all the internet service provider, not individuals, internet service provider like Telcom or MTN, they go here, they purchase a range and they use them to manage their clients. So you can check this one and we continue. Okay. As I said, I try to give you, to make it very simple for you. Okay, this one we'll do a bit later. Okay. So if you have a class A, the default subnet mask is /8 or 8 ones. The first block is for represent the network. Or 255.255.0 is for class A. If you use a class B, the default subnet mask is /16, or the first two blocks that represent the network will be 255.255. Or ones. If you see NN, it means the network. The first two blocks represent the network. For class A, the first block is NN, represents the network, and anything else you can assign to the PC's host. You see, N for network, H for host. And for class C, the first three blocks represent the network. You see N, 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 and the last block will be used to assign to host, to PCs, laptops, printers, and all this stuff. So this one, check 1 minute and we continue. Okay, so step by step, you're starting the real networking. We'll do a lot of stuff. Okay. You have a video. I'll explain a bit later with on Saturday. So today I do step by step slowly. You have a video also in EtherCAD. And this lab I will do on Saturday. We'll do always. Always, I need to see you physically, so that I give an example. You work in groups. I check. Everyone understand. Then we do something else, step by step. So for now, I'll try to make it very easy and simple for you. Okay. Let me check here. Let me check something else I can explain to you. And all these IP addresses, they belong to the network layer in OSI, and they all dealt. The router will use them to forward packets. So there's something I want to also show you. You know how to do your conversions. What is that thing? Spreadsheets. Let's me check for it. F C something is 6. Okay, so we can check this one. So definition. So what is a IP address? A number used to identify device or an interface. An example of IP address. This is an example. So this one, it belongs to class A, B, or C.
Mr. Max, that belongs to class B.
What's your name?
It's Mbosa.
Musa says class B. And who else?
Yes.
And so who else can say something?
So I think it's class C, sir, because it starts with 192.
Okay, what's your name?
Olingwe, sir.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Now let's check. You see here, class C, the first block or octet starts between 192 to 223. And we can see that this one starts with 192. So automatically it falls here. So it's a class C. This IP is class A. Why? Because you take the first octet. 68 is between 0 and 126. So it's a class A. If you take this IP, 177, it falls between this range here. That's why we see it's class C. If we say that address, it starts with 199, we can see that 199 is between somewhere here. So it's a class C. Now, public address and private. We did see that public is used to go to the internet. It's routable. It means the router can use it to go to another network. Private IP are not used for internet, but for demo labs inside the company. Okay, this one I made a mistake. This one normally is private IP.
Excuse me, Max.
Yes.
Max, it's Lorenzo here. Max, I just want to know quickly, né? On the other slide, you said that there was 3 types, 5, I think it was 5 or 6 types, classes of IP addresses. But here, this one is just saying that there's only 3, so A, B, and C.
Okay. We use A, B, and C a lot. Anything else, normally we don't use them. We call them, they are reserved. I'm going on top here. We are reserved. We use them to do something else. We don't use them.
But should we focus any attention on knowing the 4th and the
ABC
5th IP address class?
Yeah, ABC only is okay.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Max.
We focus more. Yeah, I'm playing. So this one for private IP addresses. Thank you. Private IP address. If you for class A, any IP address starting from 10, 10, you see, between 10.0.0.0 to 10.25255, any IP for class A starting with 10 is a private IP. We cannot use it to go to internet. For class B, any IP starting between 172.16 to 172.31, any IP between this range is a class B and a private. We cannot assign to go to internet. We cannot assign to a device to go to internet. Now, when it comes to class C, any IP starting 192.68 and 192.168.255.255. Any IP like that is class C and it's a private. We cannot use it to go to the internet. So check this 1 minute. It's very, very important.
Hi, Mr. Max.
Yes, question?
Yeah, my name is Mbusa. I see you just
No, sir.
explained about the IP which starts with 10 and 172 and the 192. It's a private. So which one is a public to identify the public one?
Okay. So anything that you see that is not here is public. Anything that you see that is not part of this one is public. But if you see such IP for class A, it's a private. If it's not in this range, it's a public. Same thing for here. So these one are for private. If it's not private, it's public. Okay. So this one you can check also in EtherCAD. So I go back to my so and this is a summary, the same thing. Any IP starting from 10 for class A is private. For class B, any IP starting 172.16 until 172.31 is class B. For class C, any IP starting with 192.168 is a private. It's the same thing. So you can also check this and we continue. Okay, so we know with public, with private, we know with subnet mask. And so also here is a summary for subnet mask, especially default subnet mask per class. For class A, we did say it's /8, or you can see the first block represent the network. You see, N in red is network, everyone is ones. That's why we say /8. This is with default. On Saturday, we'll see why we say default. If you have a default that is /8, if you see /9, it means it is no longer a default subnet mask. It means that IP address has been divided in smaller network. That's why we call it subnet. I'm going to show you an example. So today I go slowly and step by step. If you have a class B IP, as you know, the first two blocks represent the network. So if you put all of them all ones, it will be 16 ones. So the default is /16 or 255.255.0.0. If you see a class C and we say /20, you can see that 20 is different from the 16. It means that IP or that room, that single room has been divided in smaller rooms, maybe for renting. That's why we say default. The default, it means only one room. All the IPs will belong to one room, one network. As long as you see a class B that is different from the default, it means that big room has been divided in smaller rooms. On Saturday, we're going to see how many smaller rooms has been divided, and per smaller room, how many people you can put or you can rent, how many people can live in each smaller room. It's what we'll do on Saturday. So for example, I'm going to show you an example. I'm going to show you just an example. So we call it subnetting. For example, this is a IP. Is it class A, B, or C?
Mr. Max, Mbusa here at
Yeah.
class C.
Class C. Why?
Because the class C, the number range from 192 to 223.
Mhm.
Yeah, I said
Yeah.
class
So
C.
we see that any IP starting from, yeah, we did see that any IP starting from 192 to something is a class C. No? Yeah. So this is a IP. For example, let's say you have a house, and that house, you put some people there, some tenants. How will you know that this tenant in which room? Is it in room 1, room 2, room 3? So this is a tenant. In which room he belongs to? That's why we have a slash 20, the subnet mask. The subnet mask will allow us to identify in which smaller room he belongs to, or in which faculty he belongs to. So now we have a guy here, or an IP. This is the question. In which network that IP belongs to? And from that network, find the first valid host, the last valid host, and the broadcast. So today is just an example. Saturday, we're going to go to do a lot. That's why I say, please, Saturday, don't miss. So, guidance. When you have such question, no need to panic. Use the guidance. Step 1, identify the class. Is it class A, B, C? It's class C. Why? Because it starts with this guy. Step number 2, identify the default subnet mask for class C. We say it's slash 24, no? Or 8 ones, 8 1 plus 8 1 plus 8 1 is 24 ones. That's why we say slash 24. Number 3, step 3, we can see that if this guy belongs to class C, normally the default subnet mask is slash 24, but here is 25. It means something has changed. So something has changed. See? So if something has changed, it means that big house has been divided in smaller houses. 1 second. 1 second. I want to. So if you see the default subnet mask, it means only one big bedroom, or only one big house, only one. If you see that it's different, it means that big house has been divided in smaller part or smaller rooms. Now we'll need to find how many smaller rooms, and per smaller room, how many people can fit. 1 second. So you can check. You can check what I have. You can check what you see in the meantime. Okay. So step number 2, you can see that the default subnet mask is /24 for class C. Now in the question we say /25. It means my big house has been divided in smaller houses, in smaller rooms. How many smaller rooms? It depends. We have a formula. So step number 3, find the bit borrowed. So we do that /25 minus the subnet mask, the default. So in the equation we see /25, and the default subnet mask for class C is 24. It means I did borrowed. You see, from 24 to go to 25, I did add 1. You see, this is the default ones, 24, and I did add 1 extra, see, to make it 25 ones. So here I have 24 ones, and in the question we say I must get 25 ones. You see, so it means I did borrowed 1 bit from the host section. I'm just explaining today, and Saturday we'll do a lot. So if I borrow 1 bit from the host, how many smaller rooms I have in my house? So identify how many smaller networks. So we have a formula, 2 to the power of bit borrowed. So I borrowed 1 bit, so it will be 2 to the power of 1 is 2. And you take your calculator here, calc, and you take 2 here to the power of 1 bit borrowed equal 2. It means I have now two smaller rooms. Before it was only 1 house, 1 room. Now I did divide my house in 2 parts. So now I have 2 smaller networks. Now I need to identify these 2 smaller networks. To identify them, it's very simple. We say that when you have a class C, the first 3 blocks never change. That represent the network. So you put 191.10, 192.10. So if you put the first 3 blocks, we always start with 0. Then to find the second one, you do a table, and this section of the host, you put it in the table. And because 1 is here, we say 128 is the magic number. Why magic? It means 0 plus 128 plus 128 plus 128 plus 128 until I find the maximum of network I have. So here, because I have only 2, so 0 plus 128, I have my 2 smaller networks, it's okay. If it was 4, I have to do 0 plus 128 plus 128 until I find all of them. Now, per smaller room, how many people I can put there to rent? So in that network, how many IP addresses I can assign to PCs? It's what we're going to check also on Saturday. So you design you put your 2 network here, you see. And if you do 128 minus 1, it will be 127. It will be the broadcast IP for this network. So per network, we need to find the first valid host you can assign to a PC. We will find the last valid host you can assign to someone. And we have a broadcast address. So to find the broadcast, you do the next network minus 1. You see it here. To find the last valid host, you also do the broadcast minus 1. You put it here. And to find the first valid host you can assign to someone, you do this network plus 1. So So that's we're going to do on Saturday a lot. That's why I say please Saturday don't miss. We're going to do maybe 10 until you get used to. Now we come back to our question. Now we go back to our question. This is the question 192.168.10.12/25. It belongs to which network? The red one or the 10.0 or the 10. We can see that 10.12 is between, you see, 10.1 and 10.1. It means that that IP address belongs to the first network. So it's such thing we'll do on Saturday. So for now, just have a look. And Saturday, we're going to do a lot for you to understand. So, yeah. And we call that subnetting, dividing a big house in smaller rooms. How many smaller rooms? And per smaller room, what is the first valid port you can assign, the last, and what? So we're going to stop here for today. We'll stop here for today. So you can have a look again on this example 1. You can check again. So Saturday, I'll give you another example here, and I'll ask you these questions. I'll give you 10 of them until you get used to it. Only by practicing, then, and you need to follow the guidance and the steps. So it seems strange at the first time, but you'll get used to know what it is for that. So yeah. Yeah, someone was asking class, so Lorenzo, you were asking class D. Class A, B, C, we use them. Class D is used for multi-class group addressing. Class E reserved for research. That's why class D and E, we don't use them. We use class A, B, and C. So Saturday, I'm going to give you okay, this one we did. Yeah, I'll give you other examples so that we can check. Okay, that's all for today. So for today, you must know IP addresses. We have IPv4, IPv6. In IPv4, we have private IP, public IP, class A, B, C, how to identify class A, class B, class C, and per class, what is the private, what is the default subnet mask per class, and also if we don't see the default subnet mask and we see something else, it means our big house has been divided in smaller rooms, or our network has been divided in smaller network. How many are they? And per small rooms, how you must need to find the first valid host you can assign in the broadcast. Yeah, so I think that's all for today. So if we take this one, for example, /26, if you follow the guidance, this, so in which network that IP belongs to. So you do a guidance, identify the class. You see, it's a class C. Step 2, identify the default subnet mask for class C is /24, you see, or 24 ones. But in our question, we say /26, it means 26 ones. It means I have my 24 and I did add 2 extra. I did borrowed 2 from the host. You see, with 26 minus 24, 2, I did borrowed 2 extra to add to a 24 to make 26. So if I borrow 2, how many smaller networks or smaller rooms I have? We do our formula, 2 to the power of bit borrowed. I borrowed 2. So 2 to the power of 2 is 4. I'll get now 4 smaller networks. Or my big house, I did divide it in 4 parts. Room 1, room 2, room 3, room 4. How to identify room 1, room 2, room 3, room 4? We use what we call the magic number. What the magic number is, you do your table, and the host portion, you put it down here. Then you take the last one from left to right. The last one is here. It means our magic number will be 64. And remember, because we have a class C, the first 3 blocks will never change. And you come to a question paper here, there's a question here. So the first 3 blocks will never change. It's for the network. That's why we see here, if you have 4, we need to identify these 4. But automatically, we can see the first 3 blocks are the same. Now, how to find the host? The very first one always starts with 0 plus the magic number. So 0 plus 64 plus 64 again plus 64 again, and we have our 4. That's why we say magic number. The magic number will help us to identify the different smaller networks that I have. And anytime you have a smaller network, you need to find the first valid host, last valid host, and the broadcast. To find the broadcast of a network, you take the next network minus 1. This one minus 1 is here. You see, this is the broadcast for this network. To find the last valid host, you do the broadcast minus 1, it will be 62. You see. And to find the first valid host, you do your network plus 1. You see. That's all. So what I explained to you now, we do the same thing 10 times on Saturday until you get it. See.
100 times, Max.
Sorry?
We should do it 100 times.
No problem. No problem. No problem. We'll do 100 times. We'll do 100 times. Okay. So let us stop for today. And Wednesday, we'll do IPv6. And Saturday, we'll do a lot of subnetting. We'll do IPv6 on Wednesday. Okay, guys, thank you so much for today. You can yourself read your chapter 11. You have some videos there. And yeah. So